Hey guys, it's Lilly coming to you live from Las Vegas.
It's LindaRose coming to you live from Maine.
And welcome back to Orchid Times Season 2, Episode 2. We have a great episode planned out today, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this again. I said on our last episode 2, which was our season premiere, that new intro is so fire. I love the new intro. Our editor did so good with that.
It's perfect. It's my favorite one we've had so far, I think.
Yeah,
So today we are going to be airing an interview we did with Lilly. Lilly is a 14-year-old human rights activist, and we came across her media last season during the Roe versus Wade protests. She went viral on TikTok last year, and when she was arrested during a peaceful protest. We found her story very inspiring, and so we just knew we wanted to get her on here for an interview.
And if you do remember our highest viewing episode last season was our Roe vs. Wade episode. And if you want to check that out, we did share one for TikToks on there. And we had Alana Launch on to talk about kind of the political views and kind of just explain it a bit more. So if you want to go check that out, we highly recommend it.
You can find that episode on the Tardan Media Network YouTube. But we're going to go ahead and show this interview up for you guys. Make sure you guys stay afterwards because we're going to be doing a live discussion on recent events that are happening in Iran. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that after the interview airs.
Asteroid of fear.
Hey, Lilly, thanks so much for coming on today to do an interview with us. To start off the interview today, we want to go ahead and start with how old were you when you first became involved with activism?
I was younger. I was probably 5 or 6. But I've always just kind of had a drive for human rights. So very young, so 5 or 6, I'd say.
Wow, that's amazing. Your story and journey is so inspiring. I've been following you since the beginning on TikTok, and you're so brave. I was wondering, was there an event that pushed you to start using your voice?
Not really. I've always gone to protests, whether I was aware that I was at a protest because I was little and just didn't fully know what I was doing yet. But once I did, when I was around 5 or 6, once I did understand, it really just kind of, it's got like more meaning almost.
That's so great to hear.
Yeah, it's insane to hear that you started like around like using your voice and everything around 5 or 6, which is like so inspiring and amazing, especially since a lot of our viewers are younger, which I just think that's insane. I think that's so amazing. And I mean, you can't get much better than that. I mean, that's I'm gonna throw in my new phrase for some reason I've been obsessed with. That's thebomb.com. I'm obsessed with that phrase. It's my new thing. It's made its way into my vocabulary since I saw it on the video on TikTok. Speaking of that video on TikTok, which was so powerful, and we showed it on a Roe vs. Wade discussion, and that video, we loved that video, which is why we reached out, because that video was just so powerful. We wanted to know, what was it like when you attended your first protest?
So the first protest I attended was actually relatively calm. We didn't have much aggression or anything, and overall, we tend to keep it peaceful, honestly. And everything gets too unpeaceful, we kind of just tend to head out. So we don't like the violent side of protesting at all.
Yeah, and I think that I totally agree with that. And sadly, so much does come out of some protests, because usually there's just two different sides, and so many people now in our generation now just go straight to violence. That's how they respond, which I think is really sad. And it's actually a great way to move on to our next question, which was, what are some things you've learned since becoming an activist and using your voice?
That a lot of things are not illegal, although they seem they are. And getting loud is not illegal, but it honestly is not violent either. You can just be loud and they can't do anything. It's really great because you can use your voice and that power, and just be able to use your voice more is really just powerful, because silence is always speaks louder than words sometimes.
Absolutely. And using that to start moving into our next question, I'm super interested in like starting to attend protests in my area. So I was wondering if you could talk us through and walk us through what a protesting day looks like what goes into preparing and all of that.
So first things first, we usually plan out the protests that we have. So we make sure we're aware of where we're going, where it is, roughly how long we're going to be there, time. And then we go pick up a case of water bottles. This isn't for everyone, but we usually pick up a case of water bottles, extra signs, and some markers. We usually always have extra signs by the end of it, so we just keep repeating this process. And I always like to carry an umbrella with me in case it rains, or you need to like protect yourself from something. Worst case scenario, but they are good shields, not weapons. And overall, just being prepared for anything to happen in that protest, whether it's good or bad.
Yes, absolutely. That was some really great advice in there. Aside from the arrest, what's the craziest thing that's happened to you or that you've witnessed during a protest?
We had this woman, we were protesting with one of my other favorite things to protest for, just overall human rights mainly. But this woman got really mad over the fact that we were walking around like a college campus. You're allowed to walk around a college campus to protest. Well, she got really mad at the leader of the protest for no reason. Overall, that's the fact that she just didn't agree with what we were protesting with. And that's okay. No one has to agree with everybody, because you want everyone to have an opinion. But she coupled up some paper and, just threw it at him. So, but overall, just being a hateful human, and police got involved because she called someone, I guess. But that was pretty chaotic overall.
Wow, yeah, it's so crazy what people do sometimes.
Yeah, it's also really sad to think that I've seen so many protest videos on TikTok, especially there's not many where people are just talking, because or just talking about their different opinions, a lot of people just instantly go to yelling or violence, which is really disappointing because there's so many better ways to go about things if you have a different opinion, because having different opinions is perfectly fine. But there's just other ways to handle it and to talk about it than yelling at each other, which is not the way I think you'd want to go about things all the time, or like ever. But yeah, that's super disappointing to hear about, because protests are meant to be just using your voice and trying to change something rather than trying to cause a fight or a massive outbreak, which sadly does happen a lot. But for our next question, we want to know what are some topics that you're passionate about using your voice to help bring awareness to.
Mainly human rights. So like personally, when I was at some of my first protests, they were against circumcision, because like you can't consent that age, you can't speak, and might not be y'all's opinions, but it's my opinion that everyone should have the consensual right to anything on their body, no matter if it's internal, external, and it should always just be your right to choose what you do with your body. So mainly just human rights and if I find another topic that I really just feel strongly about and there's protests going on for it, I will definitely go out and protest about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really important. And me and my grandmother have been looking into trying to find some protests that are going on in our area as well, trying to get included in some of that. But I live in Maine, so not a lot happens here, but we're trying. For our next question, we want to know, have you ever had to deal with negativity from others in any of the issues you discuss? And how do you take care of yourself and not allow their negativity to affect you?
I mainly just I acknowledge the fact that everyone's allowed to have opinions, and when people do have a negative opinion that I don't exactly agree with, I discuss why they have that negative opinion. So say someone doesn't agrees with the Roe v. Wade overturning, and someone thinks that it was a good thing. I might ask them, well, why do you think that? And just try and not change their opinion, but figure out why they think that, and accept why they think that, and just say, I'm going to have to agree to disagree on that.
It's such a great topic to bring up too, because that's really important. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions. To start moving into the next area of the interview, at the beginning of the episode, we mentioned, we talked a little bit about your arrest at the peaceful protest. And I know I was shocked when I saw your story about that on TikTok. I was wondering, can you talk to us a bit about the day and what happened?
So we were going there expecting it to be a normal protest, like every protest we've been to before, mainly peaceful, no violence, nothing out of the ordinary as usually protests go. And I was preparing, I grabbed my flag off, we hang an upside down American flag and a pride flag outside of our house. I was grabbing all my supplies, getting ready. I grabbed my bullhorn, knowing that, get loud. And grabbed my pride flags, got my bisexual flag, didn't put it on until we got there, but and once we got there, we were all talking in the middle with the bullhorns, right? And the officers didn't really care, and I kind of found it weird that they arrested me later for using them. But there was also some anti-protesters there, which was nothing out of the ordinary. They have every right to be there just as much as we have every right to be there. But we were using them in the middle, and then we started circling around Munn Park. Munn Park is a giant circle park. We walking around. I'm leading with holding the flag up in the air, screaming into the megaphone, just different chants. And I turned the corner and I was just grabbed.
Wow, that's so disappointing that they would do that, seriously. But your bravery was so inspiring when I saw that TikTok. I was so impressed with you. Seriously, you got right back into protesting out afterwards. I was wondering if your viewpoint on activism and protesting changed at all after the arrest.
Not really. It just made me be more aware that people can be so hateful and that they just take it to violence almost because they just don't agree with what you believe, and which is okay, but resorting to violence because you disagree and it's just never a good thing. But the fact it has changed only the fact that I realized how quiet I was and how much louder I could be.
Wow, seriously, that's amazing, seriously, and thank you so much for talking to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love the fact that even after the arrest, I know some people would be scared to go back out just because that's such a disappointing thing that did happen, unfortunately. But I love that you just weren't scared to go back out. That just showed you that you needed to be louder, which I thought was really, really, really cool, because I just know if that happened to me, I don't know if I could go back out, just because I'd be scared. But that's so inspiring and really pushes me to that if that did happen to a friend or something. Because I know a few people that do protest. I know that there are people that can go back out and do that, and there are people that can, like you, that can inspire people to go back out and to not be scared, which I think is just so cool, especially how young you are. It's just a really, really big thing that I think is so important. And kind of leading into the TikTok social media world, how has social media spreading your story and raising awareness for these topics you stand for?
It's helped. It has helped realize people the severity of this overturning and just police brutality in general. Sometimes it's helped people come out and realize, oh, this is happening to everybody, and it's not just happening to BIPOC or POC. It's happening to anybody and everybody, and that we've spread the word that this overturning, we will not back down quietly. And I feel that using the social media platform that I have been given to use is going to help a lot to spread the word about how bad truly this will be for America.
Absolutely. It's so important that we use our platforms that we're given to talk about these important issues. Otherwise, how will any change ever happen?
Exactly. That's the point of protests, is we want change, but we want it peacefully. We don't want violent change. We want just peaceful change.
Absolutely.
And for the interview tonight, which I think is the most important question that we ask quite a lot of people that we interview, because it's just such a huge topic that we love to talk about. What message do you hope people who follow your journey learn from your experience?
I hope that they understand and feel pushed to get involved if they can and if they are able to. No pushing people that physically can't or mentally can't. Try and get involved. Get involved in whatever way you find possible, whether it's supporting people in protests, whether it's donating, if you're in that circumstance that you are able to. If you're not, spread about on social media. Find a way to spread positivity, and spread the message of, hey, I want nothing but positivity, and this isn't it.
Yes, absolutely. It's such a great topic to bring up. Thank you so much for coming on here today to do this interview with us. You had so much great advice, insight, and so many important messages. Like, don't be afraid to use your voice and be loud, especially. It's so important to speak up for what you're passionate about. And you are an amazing person to inspire other people to do that.
Absolutely. This interview is so much fun, and I'm so excited to air this on season 2. I think it's going to be great. We'll message you too once this airs as well. And I'm so excited that you came on, and your video was amazing. I think your message is amazing, and I think that protesting this young is insanely just like what the world needs right now. So I'm very, very happy you came on. Thank you so much.
And it's no problem. I enjoy spreading awareness that we need to just spread positivity and not hate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again. I hope you have a great rest of your evening.
You as well.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot, cursing sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter. I will not cut my hair. I will not lower my voice.
Oh my goodness, that was such a powerful interview. Just watching it back, I was in awe.
Yeah, I love that interview. I think that Lily was just, I mean, her story about what happened that day is so amazing, and I also think it's so inspiring, especially since I do think even adults, not just so much children or minors, but even adults are afraid to go out because of what happens during these protests. And I think that knowing that Lily, as young as she is, went out and did that as young as she is really doesn't even show younger kids that they can do it too. Also shows adults that it's possible to do that too and be successful even if something that you didn't plan happens.
Absolutely, and just how brave she was getting back into protesting after that happened too. It would take a lot to do that for me, and I just think it's so inspiring, and she's definitely somebody all of us can look up to.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, her story, like I said, is amazing. And I do think if that did happen to me, it would take me so long to even build up the courage to even think about going back out and doing it again. And it would take even so much more courage to do it again, to go back out there and do it again. So I think it's really important that she did not give up, even though she was arrested. That didn't stop her. And I think that's a really important message.
Absolutely. So moving into the next segment of today's episode, we wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about some recent events that are going on in Iran right now. So right now, Iranians are fighting one of the most influential human rights battles they've had, and this is happening right now currently, actually.
And it's a very sad situation, especially since as much as it's affecting everyone in Iran, it's affecting especially women in Iran. And I think that it's a very saddening event that is happening, and it's also happening while the Iranian, I think they go by president, not 100% sure, but he was in the US here where we live when it happened. And Iranian women are speaking out about this right now and speaking about the oppressive laws.
And the sad thing is that many females have been killed by the Iranian police for speaking out and protesting. And it's just really sad to see all these stories. It's sad to see the stories that are coming out on TikTok and stuff. And it's sad, too, to see that it's not being talked about a ton, too. So I think it's really important that we're talking about it some today on this episode just to let people know and give them some information.
A big topic we talk about here on the Orchid Times are planning to talk about more this season is religious and cultural beliefs, and also the just kind of respecting it, because a lot of people do not get the respect that they deserve for their religion just because people don't agree. And that's a big thing that we're trying to focus on this season as well, just because especially with the Iran event, it's really showing through. And in Iran, they have a mandatory hijab law. This means that women in Iran are forced to wear hijabs despite their personal beliefs. And if you don't know what a hijab is, it's basically something women wear over their head. Like it's like a scarf, I guess, to cover their hair. And it's a religious thing. And if you live in Iran and you are a woman, no matter your beliefs, you do have to wear one.
So you guys might have heard of her, but Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old woman, was killed after being arrested by the Iranian mortality police for not wearing her hijab correctly. So in Iran, there are these mortality police who go around, and their job is to enforce the dress codes, which are mainly focused on females in Iran.
And a big thing that I noticed when I was reading up on this, is that a lot of dress codes in schools in countries like Iran and stuff are really based around women and not so much around men, which I find so disappointing. And I just want to go off a little bit and talk about a message that my school sent out because it kind of relates to this about dress code. A message my school sent out last year that was so heartbreaking to a lot of girls in my school, and they ended up having to remove the newsletter they sent out because of how offensive it was to women. Basically, they said if you are wearing something that is showing skin or anything like that, it's based on your body shape or size, whether it's appropriate or not, and you have to change or not, which is such a big thing. And I think that it's so disappointing that people, even countries, huge countries, right? I mean, Iran's a tiny country, but even like countries like that think they need to enforce a rule like that, no matter if a person believes in that religion or culture or not.
Yeah, it's such an important topic to bring up too. Right now, Iranian women have begun speaking out about these important issues and they've begun protesting. You guys may have heard of it, but right now, Iranian women and women all around the world are showing support for what's going on for Iran by cutting off their hair and burning their hijabs.
This is such a powerful message, especially since people who are part of that culture that are part of that culture that follow the hijab wearing part of their religion are even burning their hijabs to show support the women and even the women that don't believe in it. I think that's so powerful because it can be, I know from because a big part of my family is they believe in Christianity quite strongly, and I know how hard it is to kind of go against everything you believe in, like burning your hijab. I know how hard that is. I've seen it from my family, and I think that's so powerful doing that. Even though how hard it is, that just shows that how strong people are and how strong that women can be if we stick together.
Absolutely. So, for Iranian women, cutting off their hair is a symbol of mourning, and today they're using it as a symbol of protest to honor the females who have lost their lives fighting for equal rights for Iran.
Yeah, and I think this is showing so much. I think it's really showing how powerful it can be. In Iran, actually shut off their internet when the Iranian president or whatever they go by, not 100% sure, like I said earlier, was here in the US. They shut off their internet and they weren't able to do really anything. And I think that with how big the internet is now, with how strongly it's used and how strongly of an impact it can make just by one video, like TikTok has showed us, I think shutting off the internet was such a meaningful move in a bad way. It a lot of people could a lot of Iranian women and men could not contact people from around the world because they couldn't have their internet, and that could create so much of violence issues and everything like that.
Absolutely. So, since people in Iran, some people might not be able to use their voice and speak out to people here where we are because of the internet being shut off, it's important that we help use our voices to help amplify their voices in Iran. And you guys can do that by sharing, engaging, and posting different stuff about what's going on and just help spread the message. That's so helpful, and it's amazing to do that.
Yeah, if there's any way, this actually goes perfect with our interview today. If there's any way you can share a voice, like Lilly said, no matter which way you do it, as long as you're using your voice and doing as long as what you believe in is what you believe in, using your voice is so important. So please try your best to use your voice because this is such a big thing that's happening right now. And also, I feel like I just wanted to mention this at the end of the episode today with the Ukraine and Russia thing that's going on. It is still happening now. It's still going on now. I know that the news hasn't really talked about it a lot, but it's still going on. So make sure you're showing your support for that too.
Yeah, absolutely. In the description, there is a link to a youth-led organization that posts informational topics about women's rights in Iran. And this is one of the many credible sites that you can use to share information and links from. We have quite a few other websites in the description as well that you guys could use to share different pictures and information to help support and raise awareness.
There's one thing that we want to say too. If you find a charity that is taking donations and stuff, if you want to go on the Orchid Times page, our Facebook page and group, and put it in, we can approve your post and we can share that to everybody on the page so that they can get donations and stuff like that.
And bringing up the fact with the fundraiser, I actually do have a fundraiser linked in the description today for a fundraiser that you can donate to help women in Iran. So yeah, make sure if you guys can do any of these, that would be amazing. If you guys can't donate, sharing and posting is just as important too.
Absolutely, and using your voice is just as important as doing charities, because using your voice you can reach people on the internet and they can donate to a charity that they know of. And
Absolutely.
before we end this episode, we have a very special birthday tomorrow for a very special someone named Lillie May. So if you guys want to go wish her happy birthday tomorrow, that would be amazing because it's her birthday tomorrow, and I am so pumped.
Oh, thanks. I'm actually going live after this episode, so if anybody wants to tune in, then that would be great.
It's amazing. We both have October birthdays. Hers is tomorrow. Wish her a happy birthday. How old are you turning?
I'm turning 15.
She's turning 15. She's amazing. She's an amazing musician. If you're new here, you gotta wish her a happy birthday. You gotta follow her on all of her socials, which are in the outro, because she is amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and end off this episode. We have a few TikToks we wanted to share with you guys that we found that we think are really informational for the Iran topic. And then join us in a moment of silence afterwards for the women who have lost their lives in fighting for Iran.
And somebody hurts you, wanna fight, but my hand's been broken up too many times. So I use my voice to be so fucking rude. Words they always win, but I know I lose. And I sing a song that would be short stars, but I sing them all.
This is a TikTok challenge that I'm doing to bring awareness to Iran. Here we go. One thing about me is that I'm from Iran, not Iran. First, let's just get that straight. Iran is a country in the Middle East, and for 43 years it's been ruled by this regime. They are called the Islamic Republic, but what they really are is a dictatorship. What they practice is not Islam. It is not about religion. It's not in the Quran. They abuse ideologies to oppress. They even police how women can dress. They force women to wear hijab. They can't show off long curls or a freshly cut bob. But not just that. They can't dance or sing. They can be killed for doing any of these things. And also, no one is allowed to be gay. They'll execute you. They won't just put you away. Iran didn't used to be this way, but let's not get into that. Let's just focus on today. So here we are, 43 years in, hearing about these things day out and day in, until they killed a 22-year-old named Gina Amini, but I'm sure you've been told her Iranian name was Mahsa. That's a hashtag you see. She was Kurdish in Tehran, just visiting. They bashed in her skull, and soon she died because they felt her hijab wasn't right. So the people of Iran took to the streets, young women and men just like you and me. Most of them are actually Gen Z. What happened next, you can't believe. They are shooting these kids right there in the streets, beating them to death or until they bleed. They've cut off their internet so we can't hear their screams. Also, please take a moment to Google Sharif. They're killing 16-year-old girls in Iran. We'll never forget you, Hadis Nika Sarina. This is about human rights. There simply is no other side. Do I hear you asking how you can help? Post about Iran as much as you can. Be the voice of the voiceless. We are all human. Now, I'm gonna teach you some Persian. Let's go right now. Say it with me. Zan, zindagi, azadi. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for being here and watching our episode today. We're going to go ahead and close off with a screen for a moment of silence for the woman in Ukraine. Not Ukraine, Iran, sorry.